Good morning, my dear students of Silsar Medical College. Then students from your Tripura, then Manipur, Assam Medical College, Jorhat Medical College, and also from Guwahati Medical College. So today we will be talking on acetabulum, the continuations of the acetabulum. We had a discussion earlier, so we will continue it. So as you all know, as before, we have to start with some philosophy from Gita. As I told you, Gita is not a religious book, it is a book of philosophy of life. Yesterday I told you that Ivam vivasare jigam pukta banavyam vivasare manave prohi manurikha pihabahur. Ivam parampara papta mimang rajajay viduso kalanaham hata jugang nasta parantapa. Today is so abayam tatta juga pukta puratana bhaktu sime sima seti rahasya hetudutayam. What is the meaning of this third one? First is basically from the fourth chapter of your Gita. It says to Lord says to Arjuna that the conscience, the science of consciousness from ancient and your unity with your own consciousness and to the ultimate consciousness is the actual secret of life. So that is why this is thing that you have to unite the ancient knowledge and skill with that of your skill, and that to the ultimate consciousness is the secret of life. So it is the philosophy of today. Now we will talk about the pelvis and you talk about the acetabulum. So acetabulum we have discussed about the anatomy and other component. Let us quickly refresh ourselves. What I think we talk. Quickly refresh itself because it will benefit for the other student also. That it has got two parts. That we all salute to the three persons, Judith, Laternate and Matha, who has immensely contributed for better understanding of the acetabulum in 1960 onwards, 64 like this. And they are the person who has actually given us the basic classifications of the acetabulum fractures and better understanding how to deal with it. But before that, it was so controversy and so much difficult to understand. And today's philosophy of doing so, that it is interarticular fracture. Basically, the interarticular fracture. And it's more so important for the Asian population, so would we have the habit of squatting? Yes or no? So in a trauma situations, if you are unable to have a congruent reductions of the fracture and stability, probably it will be difficult for us to bring him back to the previous situations. Yes or no? So since it is an interarticular fracture, so you are supposed to have a better congruency of the reductions. Congruency means reductions uniform, and we do not accept much step. So step, earlier days it is 2 mm, nowadays it is reduced to 1 mm. That means your steps should not be there. Should not be there. So that, and also you must achieve a good stability of the fractures, so as to have a good functional recovery. But to understand all these things, you have to understand the basic principles of fractures, the columns, the important structure around. So we had discussed, but today we just quickly go back to it, that we have already discussed about the important structure of corona mortis here, the sciatic nerve, the your plexus, yes or no? Then the vessels of the internal, external iliac and common iliac vessels. All these things are so important and is so deeply seated that you just have to go with the safe corridor through which you can address this fracture. Yes or no? That is a very important thing. That is why you have to understand. One. Number 2 point is that to understand that you have a obliquity of the pelvis. You have, it is a round somehow. So this ilium is making an angle of obturator at 90 degree, almost 90 degree. Yes. Then again, pubic symphysis part is having an angle with that of your coronal plane of 45 degree. And behind part, this part is again another angle of 45 degree behind. So it is 90 degree, it is 45 degree, it is 45 degree. So many things are happening and it is so angulations. That is why it is difficult to comprehend in a plain X-ray epi view, because things are not in the same line. Had it been in all flat, then things would have been better delineated with the X-ray. So to know partially, partial better illumination means partially to radiologically, partially to know. So you need to do some rotational views, which are known as Judet views. The Judet views are basically to know better a part of this acetabulum. In which direction you will get better, we have already discussed. Even then we will talk quickly again. That we do have two columns here. This column concept has come from your Judet in 1964 or 60 like that. And Laternet. So we have posterior column comprising from the scale shape of the scale spine, then the posterior half of the acetabulum to up to the sciatic plate. This is sciatic plate, sorry. Then anterior column, you know, this is ilium. This is your actually scale. This is anterior iliac spine and iliac spine, ilium, anterior half up to PV. This is your anterior column. This pecten pubis indicates about the position of the head. That means under just beneath this here, you have the correlation with that of your pecten pubis. You know the articular surface is horseshoe shaped, and you have a acetabular notch down below, through which you have the vessels going in. Yes, this is important for the obturator artery that supplies the head. And it is important for your and this part cotyloid, which is non-articular area, is area of fat, then also transverse ligament. Tunnel is formed through which this vessel is going, and superiorly we do have a horseshoe shaped your articular surface, and we have already discussed about the importance of the articular surface. Superior part is more important for the weight bearing. Anterior part and posterior part is mostly related to your flexion and extension of the hip joint. So roughly this is the gross anatomy we have discussed. We have also discussed about the important point, taking the X-ray and which view is important. While we talk the AP view, so before that we also talked about the mechanism of fractures. To quickly refresh the mechanism of fracture, that the damage of acetabulum basically is because of the collisions between the head and the acetabulum. Yes or no? So it is a collision between the head and the acetabulum, ball and socket. Basically this is the thrust, and all the consequence of acetabular fracture is related to because of the injury caused by these two things. Yes or no? Or impact. And this impacting force coming to the acetabulum may come in two axes. As I mentioned earlier, that if it is coming from the axis of the femur, another thing is that from the axis of the neck. That means this force which is going to work or the damage to the acetabulum is basically coming from two ways. One, from the axis of the femur itself. Another axis through the work from working through the trochanter to the axis of the neck. Right? So necessarily the damage of this acetabulum injury will entirely depends upon certain important things. What are the important things? One is that what is the position of the head at this moment of time. Right? So in this situation, say supposing the pelvis is lying this, patient is in the flexion position of the hip joint, and the force is working like this, necessarily damage will be there in the posterior wall or posterior column. Right? Then whether well will be more involved or whether column will be more involved, it also depends upon the degree of abduction as well. Had it been a case of internal rotation, the head is while almost out, a thrust coming from this will cause less damage to the acetabulum or acetabular wall itself. Right? On the other hand, if it is a neutral and also abducted, not adducted, abducted, if it is abduction, then what is happening? It is greater part of the head is inside the acetabulum, so injury to the posterior column and other things are evident. Right? So this is what is your axis from where it is coming. On the other hand, say that is your while the force is working from the axis of the femur. On the other hand, if the force is working from this lateral side of this here, what are the possibility? One thing, that if the head is externally rotated, and the force is coming like this, Where is the impact? Impact is in anterior wall or anterior limb. Correct? So if the limb is externally rotated and the force is working from here, necessarily the damage will be there in the anterior wall or anterior limb. Clear? On the other hand, if it is internally rotated and the force is coming from the axis of the neck, necessarily the impact of the force will be in the posterior side of the posterior column. Clear? This part is clear? Yes. So whether the anterior column will be anterior wall or anterior column will be more involved, or the posterior column or posterior wall will be more involved, it depends upon the position of the head. On the other hand, if it is a neutral like sort of thing and the force is coming like this, probably it will go for your transverse flexor, like this, where the column, both the anterior and the posterior is involved. So if it is like this, then the transverse flexor is more evident. Transverse flexor, which may be again associated with your anterior sometime, or it can be associated with the posterior sometime, or sometime both combined together. So again, in the T flexors, if you are talking, then you will find if the head is little bit of your abduction, the impact of the force abduction, but in neutral position, and the force is working like this, probably the line will be there just below the fovea. That will be called infratectal. T. Infratectal. Tectal means your dome. Roof is called tectal. It's a Latin word where tectal means your dome. See, if the force is coming from the axis of your neck and it is little bit of abduction, this force will be going to the downside. So the flexor line T flexor will be, transverse flexor will be more below the fovea, infratectal. Same is depending upon the positions, it may be in juxta or transtectal. So the transtectal, juxtatectal, infratectal are the different types of transverse flexor, and these flexors is dependent upon the force working from the lateral side and is dependent upon the positions of the head. This is about the different positions of the head and the impact of the force. Now, another is important thing in this context is that how much damage is going to cause. Yes or no? That's another question. How much damage? This damage will be caused by two things. One is your amount of the force. Another is definitely the quality of the bone. So amount of the force and the quality of the bones are the two important things to determine the extensivity of the injury of the acetabulum. Yes or no? So in a situation where the bones are very osteoporotic and the force is not very much, then also you have a good damage to the acetabulum. This implies particularly in case of elderly patients where the bones are very osteoporotic, and even in force is less also it may cause too much damage. On the other hand, had it been your young adult, strong bones, and to have this extensivity of the injury, necessarily impact of the force must be tremendous. Yes or no? Supposing an elderly patient is coming an extensive injury, it implies that there is injury is there, but the force may not be that much of that like a young adult. If a young adult is coming with extensive of injury in the acetabulum, it implies that the violence of the force was too much high, and these situations is always have to look for the associated injury. This is also important, and I am talking on another point also, that the extensivity of the injury of the acetabulum depends upon the impact of the force, quality of the bone, position of the head. Yes or no? On the other hand, in case of your elderly patient where the bones are a bit soft, in a trivial fracture, it indicates this impact of the force is less. On the other hand, an extensive injury in an adult In the acetabulum, always force is tremendous. And in these situations, there is every possibility of some associate injuries like femur, like neck, like some head of the femur, like pelvis also, or other parts of the body as well. Because in this situation, the impact of the force is tremendous. So that is why in a situation of young adult with extensive injury to acetabulum, it is always logical to look for the patient as a whole. Important. As such, in case of acetabulum also, you have to follow the STLS guideline to rule out the possibility of other injuries as well. And more so it is important in case of young adult where the bones quality is high, good, and he is having extensive injury to acetabulum, there is every possibility that he is having some sort of associate injury as well. So impact of the force, this is the damage they are causing, and the extensivity of the injury, all are a very important thing to look for. It's not only the acetabulum, but matters. The ultimate result of this CA also dependent upon the associated injury as well. Because in a situation like this, many times the associated injury will determine at what point of time you can able to effectively intervene this fracture. Right? So suppose in the fracture neck femur is there, fracture shaft of the femur is there, pelvis fracture is there, where the pelvis posterior part is damaged. In those situations, the associate fractures also determine the actual course of treatment, who gets priority. And that way, that is also going to reflect the ultimate result of this acetabulum fractures. Is it clear to you? Okay. That is all important thing. Then we had also talked about the importance of taking the X-ray in various views. Just quickly refresh ourselves. What are the views? As I said already, that today's so we are more concerned about the various views as well. We mentioned by Laternate and Judet views, which are known as Judet views. But now this picture is that they are more dependent on the CT scan. And that CT scan is also coming by a multi-directional CT scan. These new additions to it, multi-directional, that is more informative and more, of course, complex, but even more informative. So multi-directional CT scan is also important. But as of now, today, most of the fractures are determined, better illuminated, better understanding, and your protocol for treatment is determined by the 3D reconstructions of the CT scan. Yes or no? So 3D reconstruction of the CT scan is more important in today's scenario. Even then, we are supposed to know what are the basic X-ray we need to do. So understanding the fracture. And then we will talk about the different classifications of the So X-ray how? Then X-ray will determine future classification of the fracture, because it is mostly X-ray dependent classification. Yes or no? So the AP view is all important, the basic view. The inlet view is which is coming from the 60-degree angulation from the caudal side is going to inlet view. Another view is coming from your distal caudal side. So one is caudal, one is your cephalic. Yes, that is one. Then we are more concerned about the pelvis fracture. We are more concerned about the Judet views. How the Judet view are taken and what are the things we are supposed to see in the Judet view. AP view is this. As you know, one is called obturator view. Obturator view, if it is there, if this side, if you want to take the obturator view of this side, then you have to make the obturator angle like this. That means you want to see, this is important, no? I will show like this. So it is like this. So if you want to take the obturator view of this side, what you are trying to do? Actually, we are trying to do the obturator foramen like this. By doing so, what we are doing? We are doing that this obturator foramen will be more illuminated. This is a round shape. Yes, one point. Number two, what is thing? That the certain parts of this CA is becoming more horizontal. Now, what are the things are more becoming horizontal now? That you see the ilium, this your pubis is coming almost horizontal, and you see the greater part of the anterior column is more horizontal, and also the posterior lip of the acetabulum is more horizontal. So, if you take the X-ray like this, what are the things are more becoming prominent in X-ray? The X-ray, those things will be more prominent which are now horizontal to this film or parallel to the film. What are the things are now horizontal? One is your anterior column. This part is now becoming almost horizontal. That is why in a obturator view like this thing will be better delineated. And also you see the posterior part of this your acetabulum is also becoming horizontal. So that is why posterior part will be more. So that means in obturator view, what are the things will be more delineated? The anterior column, this part, and also the posterior lip. So this thing is clear. That means in obturator view, while you do the interrotations, these things are becoming more horizontal. Posterior lip of the acetabulum is more horizontal. So necessarily this AP view, this view is going to speak better about the anterior column and the posterior lip. Is it clear? Now, if you are doing the reversing there, so what you are doing, we are rotating like this pelvis, and you want to take this ilial view of this side. Now, what I am trying to do? I am trying to do the parallel of your ilium. So that is why this ilial plate of this side will be more delineated. We are making this ilial plate is more horizontal. Thereby also you will see the posterior part, now posterior column is becoming more horizontal, and to some extent the anterior lip of the acetabulum is also more horizontal. So necessarily in this view we will have better illuminations of the posterior column. We will have better illumination of this ilium part, yes or no, and also the anterior lip of the acetabulum. That means in this ilial view, posterior column and the anterior lip of the acetabulum will be more delineated, better be seen. So that is why this is all important to understand, that which column is being more illuminated, better delineated in X-ray, in the rotational views, and all these views are known as Judet views. And Judet views are the main backbone of better understanding of acetabulum and subsequent classification to it. Subsequent classification, because these classifications basically speaks about the 5 element fracture, and also 5 associate fractures. This speaks about the 5 element fracture and 5 your associate fractures. Now we will talk little bit of this classification today. There are so many classifications coming up, but as of now throughout the world, and this classification still valid and being accepted. What is this? What is this? One thing is that let us talk in this here, that what are the combinations of the injury may take place. So basically, as I said, in this classification there are 5 elementary fracture. 5 elementary fracture. What are these 5? First thing, you understand the 5 elementary fractures of the acetabulum. Then we will go what are the 5 associated fractures there, right? So in 5 elementary fractures, what? One is the posterior lip and the posterior column. What is this? As I said, if the fracture infection of the like this, infection is like this, then there will be posterior lip, and if it is more abducted, it may lead to your posterior column. So that is 1 and 2. Out of 5 elementary, 1 and 2 is your posterior column and posterior lip, rim. Okay, fine? Okay, fine. That is 1. Then if it is happening to the anterior, same thing, anterior, then we say the anterior lip or anterior column. These are the 4. Then the 5th one is your transverse fracture, which is fracture line is extending in this line, in this here. This is going like this, it is happening like this. So this is the T fractures. This three flexure I will tell you again how. So basic five types of elementary flexures are posterior lip, posterior column if the column is involved, anterior lip and anterior column. 4. Another flexure is lying like this. This is your transverse flexure. These are the 5. On the other hand, in the transverse flexure, above from the level of your flexures, where it is happening, whether it is the infraphobia, that is infratectal, or juxtatectal or transtectal. So it depends upon the line at the what level it is crossing. So this is also being classified. That means in the 5 elementary classification, 5 types, and the 5th one transverse. Again, actually there are 3. One is infra, one is juxta, another is your transtectal. Okay? These are the 5. Now, another thing is there that this combination of the flexure. Combination of flexure. So this flexure, transverse flexure, make associate with a flexure of the posterior acetabulum. Yes or no? That is one combination. Same thing may be there with this T with that of your anterior part. This is another combination. Associate flexure. Then there may be a flexure which is happening like this side which is extending to the anterior column as well as posterior column also. This is combinations. Flexure which is extending to the anterior column and bicolumnar flexures. Yes or no? So that means these flexures are associated flexure, and whether it is involving the anterior part, anterior column or anterior lip, posterior part, posterior lip or bicolumnar flexure. Yes? So these are the various associate flexure along with the basic elementary flexures. Basic elementary flexures. Yes? So basic elementary flexures are this. So this is the classification being widely accepted as of today. So you are supposed to understand what are the 5 basic flexures or elementary flexures and the 5 associate flexures of your buttock. There are so many combinations of injuries happening, but most of these, almost 80 to 80% are falling in the 5 elementary. 5 elementary flexures are there. They are mostly coming with the 5 there. There are so many combinations because of the violence of the injury, so much so that there is so many combinations of flexures. So this thing you are supposed to understand. Now let us talk something today about the reading of the X-ray. At least not all, even then we must have the basic. How one should read the X-ray? Yes or no? So while you talk the AP view, pure AP view, see, we will talk about the AP view today. So in the AP view, how do you know this AP view? How do you know it is a pure AP view? Pure AP view will know the sympathy PVs must be with that of the axis of the coccyx. That will tell us if this sympathy PVs is in the same line of your coccyx line or the midline or end on view of the spinous process. End on view of the spinous process, that will indicate that the pelvis is not rotated, and that is a AP view. But had it been a case of your rotation, necessarily they will be not in the same line. It also, you can see the other part as well, the correlations, but these things are important. Some lines are very important to understand. The basic 4 lines. Basic 4 lines of Judet and Laternal classification. Basic 4 lines, one should understand where are the basic 4 lines. The basic 4 lines, the senton lines is not a basic line as far as acetabulum is concerned. One should understand that I am not going to talk about the sentence line which is not being considered as a basic line of your acetabular flexure as far as Judet's classification is concerned. I am going to talk something more than this. This is called, if this is line is you are tracing like this is called ilium and pubis. So this line is known as iliopubic line. So this line which is extending from the pubis to ilium is known as iliopubic line. Iliopubic line essentially speaks about the anterior column of the acetabulum. These things to be clear. These lines are very important. One should understand the line and also the implication. If there is a break in the end of this line, it indicates there is a break in the anterior column. On the other hand, another line which I am going to talk is your ischiopubic, ischioilium, ischium to ilium, ischioilial line. Yes or no? Ischium, this is ischial tuberosity and is going like this to ilium is called ischioilial line. This line is also, that line, previous line is known as your Kohler's line. This line speaks about the posterior column. So, ilioischial line, ilium to ischium, this line is known as ilioischial line. This ilioischial line speaks about the integrity of posterior column. These two lines. Another 2 point is that, see, one line is very important here. You see, this medially the line is there. This is your anterior lip of the acetabulum. Another is the line which is seen the outer side is known as the posterior lip of the acetabulum. And a line, this part, this is called this part is this teardrop. Teardrop is a radiological finding of your cotyloid area, which is not actually anatomical finding. It is a radiological finding. This is important, that is integrity of the anterior and the posterior column. So while this part is involved, that means the acetabulum is involved with this anterior and the posterior column. Today we are limiting up to this. Then we will talk about the Jude's view also. Jude's views also. What Jude's view speaks in the X-ray. Yes? So this thing is clear. The basic thing, you must have a very clear conceptions of the reading of the X-ray. First thing, how do you know it is a pure epiview? Your epiview, you will know from this, your line of pubis symphysis with that of your end-on view of the spines or the correlating with that of the coccyx. Right, sir? Then you are supposed to know what are different lines. These lines are very important. They are iliopubic, ilioischial, anterior lip of the acetabulum, posterior lip of the acetabulum, and also teardrop. This thing should always to be clear in your mind. And also to understand what is the meaning of all this line. Which line speaks what? Finish or no? 40 minutes we will talk about it. ठीक है सर? This you stop it.